Natural disasters hit all around the world, but the Philippines leads all other countries in the frequency and severity of them. All told, the country has to deal with earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, landslides, typhoons, monsoons, floods, sea level rise, and much more. So why is the Philippines so vulnerable to natural disasters? And is this part of a larger trend across Asia in general? There's no place quite like the Philippines, an archipelago country consisting of thousands of islands. It also happens to be geographically situated in one of the most natural disaster active areas on the planet, where it often gets hit first and hardest. And this has caused grief and hardship for Filipinos for millennia. So today we're going to talk all about why the Philippines is so vulnerable to such a vast array of natural disasters. But first, today's podcast episode is all about the Great War, also known as World War I. Join us as we dive into the geography of one of the most devastating wars in history and how it all came to be. This will be followed by an extra episode with special guest Jesse Alexander from the Great War YouTube channel. You can check out both episodes right here on YouTube or whatever app you prefer. Part 1 is available now, and Part 2 with Jesse lands on Thursday. The Philippines has a fascinating physical geography, highlighted by its unique archipelagic nature consisting of over 7,000 islands situated in Southeast Asia. And being located in the Western Pacific Ocean, its geographic location places it within the Pacific Ring of Fire, already making it susceptible to earthquakes and volcanic activity, which we'll get to in a little bit. Of course, being a large island country, mountain ranges such as the Cordillera Central and Sierra Madre dominate the Philippine archipelago. The Cordillera Central runs north to south and includes Mount Pulag, the third highest peak in the Philippines, standing at 9,600 feet. The Sierra Madre Range, stretching along the eastern coast of Luzon, acts as a natural barrier against typhoons from the Pacific. Other significant mountain ranges include the Central Panay Mountain Range on Panay Island and the mountainous regions of Mindanao, where Mount Apo, the highest peak in the Philippines at 9,692 feet, is located. Volcanic activity has played a significant role in shaping the Philippine landscape. The archipelago is home to several active volcanoes, including Mayon Volcano, known for its near-perfect cone shape, and Taal Volcano, which has the distinction of being one of the world's smallest active volcanoes. The 1991 eruption of Mount Pinatubo was one of the largest volcanic eruptions in the 20th century, drastically altering the landscape and affecting global climate. Beyond the mountains and volcanoes, the Philippines boasts an extensive and diverse coastline stretching over 22,000 miles. This extensive coastal area contributes to the country's rich marine biodiversity, with coral reefs, mangroves, and seagrass beds providing habitat for numerous marine species. The archipelago's coastal plains are often narrow and backed by steep mountain ranges, particularly in Luzon and Mindanao. Coastal features include bays, gulfs, and inlets, with Manila Bay being one of the most famous due to its strategic and economic importance. The archipelagic nature of the Philippines also results in numerous rivers and lakes scattered across the islands. Major river systems include the Cagayan River in Luzon, which is the longest river in the Philippines, and the Agasan River in Mindanao. These rivers play a crucial role in irrigation, transportation, and as a source of fresh water for communities. Notable lakes include Laguna de Bay, the largest lake in the Philippines, and Lake Lanao in Mindanao, which is an important cultural and historic site for the Moreno people. Finally, the climate of the Philippines is predominantly tropical, characterized by high temperatures, high humidity, and abundant rainfall. The country experiences a distinct wet and dry season, influenced by the monsoon winds. The southwest monsoon, known locally as the Habagat, brings heavy rains from June to October, while the northeast monsoon, or Amihan, brings cooler, drier air from November to February. The country's location makes it prone to typhoons, with an average of 20 entering the Philippine area of responsibility each year, causing significant impacts on the physical landscape and human settlements. The Philippines has a unique and, dare I say, very extra geography. In fact, even while just talking about the geography itself, I couldn't escape mentions of just how vulnerable it is to natural disasters. But before we get to the history of natural disasters in the Philippines, if you're enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button. More fun geography videos are just a single click away. The Philippines, situated along the Pacific Ring of Fire and within the Typhoon Belt, has a long history of natural disasters that have shaped its regions and communities. Over the last couple centuries, the country has experienced a variety of natural calamities, including typhoons, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, floods, and landslides, all of which have caused significant damage and loss of life. Being within the volatile Ring of Fire, earthquakes have played a significant role in the country's history of natural disasters. The 1645 Luzon earthquake, with an estimated magnitude of 7.5, was one of the earliest recorded major earthquakes. It caused severe damage to Manila and other parts of Luzon, toppling churches, buildings, and infrastructure. Another major earthquake occurred in 1880, also impacting Luzon. And being a large island country, volcanic eruptions have been a recurring hazard in the Philippines. The eruption of Taal Volcano in 1754 was one of the most catastrophic in Philippine history. Located in Batangas province, the eruption lasted for 6 months and buried numerous towns under volcanic ash and debris. The towns of Taal, Sala, and Tanawan were particularly affected, with many residents losing their homes and livelihoods. Another notable eruption was the Mayon volcano in 1814. The eruption destroyed the town of Cagsawa, leaving only the church bell tower visible above the volcanic debris. This event caused over 1,200 fatalities and had a profound impact on the region. Beyond the Philippines' shaky and explodey history, typhoons have also been a regular occurrence, with numerous destructive storms recorded throughout history. One of the earliest documented typhoons struck Manila in 1867, causing widespread devastation in the capital city. Another notable typhoon was Typhoon Amy in December 1951, which ravaged the Visayas and Luzon regions. It caused extensive damage to agricultural lands, destroyed homes, and resulted in over 500 fatalities. And of course, with typhoons comes floods. Flooding has been a persistent issue in the Philippines, often exacerbated by a 1-2 combo of typhoons and heavy monsoon rains. In 1911, a devastating flood occurred in central Luzon, affecting provinces such as the Pampanga, Bulacan, and Nueva Ecija. The floodwaters submerged vast agricultural areas, destroyed crops, and displaced thousands of residents. And finally, to add on top of all of this, are the country's frequent and often devastating landslides. These are often triggered by heavy rains and earthquakes and have posed significant risk to the Philippines through the decades, particularly as metropolitan regions have expanded into nearby hilly areas. One of the earliest recorded landslides occurred in 1881 in the province of Cebu. Heavy rains caused a massive landslide that buried the town of Carcar, resulting in widespread destruction. Another significant landslide occurred in 1968 in the province of Leyte, where heavy rains triggered a landslide that buried several villages, causing over 300 deaths. The history of natural disasters in the Philippines highlights the country's vulnerability to a wide range of hazards. These events have left lasting scars on the landscape and communities within the country. And all of this begs the question, what is it about the Philippines specifically that makes it so vulnerable to natural disasters? The Philippines is widely recognized as the most vulnerable country in the world regarding natural disasters, a designation that stems from unique geographic and societal factors. This vulnerability is highlighted by the World Risk Index 2023, which ranks the Philippines at the top due to its high exposure to various natural hazards and significant vulnerability within its society. One critical aspect of the Philippines' vulnerability is its location within the Pacific Ring of Fire, a zone of high seismic activity. This region is characterized by frequent earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, both of which have devastating impacts on communities. The 1990 Luzon earthquake, for example, was devastating for the city. Similarly, volcanic eruptions such as those at Mount Mayon and Mount Taal have caused widespread destruction and displacement. The eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991 was particularly catastrophic, affecting not only the immediate vicinity, but also having long-term impacts on global weather patterns due to the massive amount of volcanic ash released into the atmosphere. In fact, this eruption has largely been blamed for the lack of a traditionally hot summer in 1992, 1 year later. Additionally, the Philippines' position within the typhoon belt of the Western Pacific makes it one of the most cyclone-prone countries in the world. The archipelago is frequently struck by powerful typhoons, which bring heavy rains, strong winds, and storm surges. These events can lead to severe flooding, landslides, and damage to infrastructure. Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 is a stark reminder of the catastrophic potential of these storms, killing at least 6,300 people. The destruction wrought by such typhoons often overwhelms local capacities for response and recovery, leaving lasting scars on the affected communities. The topographical features of the Philippines also contribute to its susceptibility. The country's mountainous regions and coastal areas are particularly vulnerable to landslides and storm surges, respectively. Riverine and coastal flooding are common, especially during the monsoon season, exacerbating the impacts of tropical storms. Furthermore, the archipelago's extensive coastline, spanning over 22,000 miles, increases the exposure of its population to sea level rise and coastal erosion. All of this has been exacerbated by the urbanization trends in the Philippines. Rapid and often unplanned urban growth has led to increased population density in cities, particularly in Metro Manila. This urban sprawl places additional stress on already limited resources and infrastructure, creating conditions where even minor natural events can have disproportionately large impacts. The informal settlements that proliferate in urban areas are particularly vulnerable, lacking basic services and often situated in high-risk zones. Today, the Philippines would be overwhelmingly dominated by the Manila metropolitan area with nearly 26 million people. This would be followed by Cebu with 2.5 million people, and Angeles and Davao with 1.6 million people each. The rest of the Philippines' population is spread out over its vast array of islands, making reacting to and recovering from natural disasters particularly challenging. But while the Philippines is the world's most vulnerable country, the reality is that Asia in general is very prone to natural disasters, more so than any other region on the planet. Asia is widely recognized as the most natural disaster-prone region in the world. The continent's vast and varied landscapes, coupled with its climatic conditions, makes it particularly susceptible to a range of natural hazards, including typhoons, earthquakes, floods, and droughts. Additionally, rapid urbanization and high population density exacerbate the impacts of these disasters, leading to significant loss of life, economic damage, and disruption. Geographically, Asia finds itself at the confluence of several geographic oddities that seem to propel natural disasters towards it. Much of East and Southeast Asia are firmly within the Pacific Ring of Fire, and, as unluck would have it, this part of the ring has been much more active in recent decades. This has also coincided with frequent earthquake and volcanic eruptions. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami in Japan is a stark example of the devastation the region faces. Similarly, Indonesia's location on multiple tectonic plates results in frequent seismic events, with the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami being one of the deadliest in recorded history. But also, Asia's climatic conditions also contribute to its vulnerability. The region is situated in the path of major monsoons and typhoons, which bring intense rainfall, strong winds, and severe flooding. The South Asian monsoon, which affects countries like India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, is critical for agriculture, but also leads to severe flooding. For instance, the 2023 floods in Pakistan inundated large swaths of the country, killing 159 people. Typhoons regularly hit East and Southeast Asia, with the Philippines, China, and Vietnam often bearing the brunt. Droughts are also a significant concern in parts of Asia, particularly in regions dependent on seasonal rainfall. The prolonged absence of rain can lead to water shortages, crop failures, and food insecurity. In India, recurring droughts in states like Maharashtra and Rajasthan have severe implications for agriculture and rural communities. Similarly, China has faced severe droughts in its northern regions, impacting water supplies and agricultural production. All of this comes with the added reality that this region of the world is home to about 4.2 billion people, over half of the world's population, on just 7% of all land. This high population density in this region of the world increases the potential for casualties and economic losses when disasters strike. For instance, the megacities of Tokyo, Manila, and Jakarta are highly vulnerable to earthquakes, floods, and typhoons due to their location and dense populations. Of course, natural disasters hit all around the planet, but they hit with far less frequency and intensity than they do in Asia, which is kind of bizarre when you think of the cosmic coincidence that over half of the world's population also lives in this region. The Philippines and Asia at large are very susceptible to natural disasters, from earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides, to typhoons, monsoons, flooding, and sea level rise. The country really can't catch a break. But despite it all, Filipinos manage to persevere and thrive on their incredible archipelago. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed over on Patreon. I'll be doing member callouts soon, so if you want to get in on that, head over and check it out. Many more great benefits await, and you can help me figure out future content. I really appreciate everyone who has signed up already, even if it's just as a free membership. I hope you enjoyed learning all about the Philippines and Asia's natural disasters. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If you want to watch more videos, click here. If you want to listen to the podcast, click here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.